DC Studios co-CEO James Gunn has recently faced a wave of online criticism following several shakeups in the future of the DC universe, including the news of Henry Cavill's exit as Superman. As fans of the DC universe, it's no surprise that we've seen a passionate response to these recent developments. But unfortunately, some of that response has crossed the line into harassment and negativity, which is something that Gunn addressed in his statement. Gunn began by acknowledging the strong feelings that fans have for these characters and the stories they love, and he emphasized that he and the rest of the team at DC Studios share that passion. But he also made it clear that such behavior is not acceptable and is counterproductive to the goal of creating and sharing great storytelling. However, Gunn also condemned the online harassment and negativity that has been directed towards him and other members of the DC team. He stated that such behavior is not only unacceptable, but also counterproductive to the goal of creating and sharing great storytelling. It's one thing to have a spirited debate or discussion about the direction of a franchise, but it's another thing entirely to harass and threaten the people involved in its creation, Gunn wrote. I understand that people have strong feelings about these characters and the stories we tell, but that doesn't give anyone the right to threaten or harass others. Gunn went on to address the specific issue of Henry Cavill's exit as Superman, stating that while he understands the disappointment that many fans may be feeling, he also believes that it is important to allow for change and evolution in a franchise. He pointed out that the Batman and Superman characters have been played by numerous actors over the years, and that each actor has brought something unique and valuable to the role. Change can be scary, but it can also be exciting, Gunn said. We are constantly looking for ways to move the DC universe forward and bring fresh and diverse perspectives to these iconic characters. While it may be sad to see Henry Cavill leave the role of Superman, I am confident that the future of the character is in good hands, and I can't wait to see what the next chapter holds. With this, James Gunn did take to Twitter to further respond to all of the criticism and harassment he has received since his announcement that some beloved DC actors would be replaced. He said in a statement, "One of the things Peter and I were aware of when we took the job as heads of DC Studios was a certain minority of people online that could be, well, uproarious and unkind, to say the least. Our choices for the DCU are based upon what we believe is best for the story and best for the DC characters who have been around for nearly 85 years. Perhaps these choices are great, perhaps not, but they are made with sincere hearts and integrity and always with the story in mind. No one loves to be harassed or called names, but, to be frank, we've been through significantly worse. The disrespectful outcry will never, ever affect our actions. We were aware there would be a period of turbulence when we took this gig, and we knew we would sometimes have to make difficult and not so obvious choices, especially in the wake of the fractious nature of what came before us. But this means little to us in comparison to our jobs as artists and custodians in helping to create a wide and wonderful future for DC. As stated in previous videos, we are in a big transitional period, and it was clear from the start that there would be some big changes coming to the new DCU under James Gunn. Warner Bros. Hired Gunn to make changes, and that is exactly what he is going to do now. If the bosses at WB wanted the same thing, they would have hired Zack Snyder to continue his version of the universe, but clearly, that is not what they wanted. It is sad to see many of these beloved actors go, and it is even worse seeing them recast Superman once again for a younger version that we have seen many times over. Fans were hoping that DC would continue with Henry Cavill's version of the superhero, as many were excited to see what a more mature Superman would look like on the big screen. With a younger Superman still discovering his powers, it is going to be interesting to see what approach they take. As per Screen Rant, they say, with Gunn penning a script for a Superman movie, the film will focus on a younger Clark Kent during his early days in Metropolis. According to Gunn, this version of the Man of Steel will already know several major characters from the canon, as a way to stress that this won't be an origin story. It will simply be centered on a younger Superman, who is likely still getting the hang of things as a superhero. The approach is similar to how Robert Pattinson's The Batman focused on Bruce Wayne during his second year as a crime fighter. It is clear that DC will be following the Batman script in more ways than one. Last week, James Gunn confirmed that Robert Pattinson's version of Batman will not form part of the main DCU and will be treated as a standalone project, meaning that there will be a second Batman that will form part of the main story and the Justice League. Right now, that Batman is Ben Affleck, but another recasting might be in the works for him as well. With this, we also received news last week that Superman film under J.J. Abrams with Jordan B. Peterson is also still underway. And just like with Batman, this will be a standalone film separate from the Justice League, although they might tie in Jordan's Superman with the Justice League through the multiverse. It is not ideal to have two versions of Superman, but since it did work so well for Batman, it is understandable why WB would want to try things out with two of the same superheroes. It has been rumored for some time that Michael B. Jordan will be taking on the iconic role of Superman in a new film directed by J.J. Abrams. If this news is true, it marks a major shift in the portrayal of the character, as Jordan will be the first actor of color to portray the Man of Steel on the big screen. There are no details yet on the plot of the film or how Jordan's Superman will differ from previous iterations of the character. However, given Jordan's talent and range as an actor, it is likely that he will bring a fresh and dynamic take on the iconic hero. Abrams, known for his work on franchises such as Star Wars and Star Trek, is no stranger to blockbuster films, and his involvement in the project has fans excited to see what he will bring to the Superman mythos. It is worth noting that this film has not yet been officially announced. However, the prospect of Jordan and Abrams teaming up for a Superman film is certainly an exciting one, and fans will be eagerly awaiting any confirmation or updates on the project. Regardless of whether or not this specific film comes to fruition, it is clear that there is a desire for more diverse representation in superhero films, and the idea of Jordan as Superman shows that Hollywood is starting to listen to this demand. It will be interesting to see how this potential project develops, and how Jordan's Superman will be received by audiences. Overall, Gunn's statement was well received by fans and critics alike, with many praising him for his honesty and willingness to engage with the online community. It is clear that he takes the responsibility of helming the DC Universe seriously, and is committed to delivering the best possible content for fans. While it is natural for fans to feel a sense of attachment to their favorite characters and storylines, it is important to remember that these characters and stories belong to a larger universe that is constantly evolving. By approaching these changes with an open mind and a willingness to engage in respectful dialogue, we can ensure that the DC Universe continues to thrive and inspire for years to come.